The 10-minute drill.
This is a big one.
Covered by Universal Roof and Contracting. The difference is Universal.
On 1010XL.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hit it. All right, we got sports concepts and rationalizations coming your way. We call it the 10-minute drill, and we're going to talk a lot about Kobe Bryant this morning. And if you want to know how big, how shocking, how unbelievable, how stunning this is, watch what happens at the Super Bowl today and this week. I mean, they'll all be talking about Kobe Bryant down there at the world's biggest
I'm
sports
watching ESPN
spectacle
right now, and Nick Kyrgios is a tennis player from Australia. He's about to play Rafa Nadal, or he's playing Rafa Nadal, and he's wearing a Kobe Bryant jersey.
It's everywhere. Like I said, and I think the 20s.
He's worldwide, too, Dan, even more than some of these other.
Huge soccer fan, grew up in Italy, spoke many different languages. I know he spoke Italian and English fluently, and I think there's a story that, he didn't want to speak it publicly, but they goaded him, and so he just then rattled off some beautiful Spanish. So
text line is sharing some of their thoughts and stuff, and this is a good one too. On the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, one person writes in, "My favorite Kobe quote was quote I was blessed with talent, but I worked as if I had none."
That's the truth too.
Tireless worker, and
he came
an edge too. He had an edge about.
Did you see Jerry West interview last night?
Yeah, he choked up.
Brutal.
Those are the ones that get me.
That was brutal. He came out of Lower Merion High School, and listen, they knew of him, and he had some advantages because his dad was an NBA player, Jelly Bean, Joe Jelly Bean Bryant, Jumping Joe Jelly Bean Bryant, and so, but it was Kobe who. I don't want to say like forced, but they were telling stories like when the NBA guys would get together to ball in the offseason in Philly, they'd go to a court and Kobe would find out where they're going, and there'd be 9 NBA players and Kobe at 15 running with them. But he wouldn't back down. He was like, I'm going to be an NBA player, and I'm going to be a great NBA player. And that rubbed people wrong early on, obviously. But and listen, LeBron is only 4 years younger than Kobe. So when Kobe broke through to go from high school to the NBA, that's what first made LeBron go, oh, you can do that?
Well,
he said that.
I saw something yesterday. You always learn things, even as much as Kobe Bryant has been in, the front and center for so many years. You always learn things, sometimes sadly in their death. But I didn't realize that when Kobe debuted for the Lakers as a rookie, he became, at the time, the youngest player in NBA history.
Wow. Was he 17 and something, or 18? Or?
He was 18.
Yeah.
That must have been a young 18. But Kobe Bryant, I think it's been broken since then. I think maybe Dwight Howard may have been younger than that. But at the time, he was the youngest player ever. I thought the reactions around the league were very touching and heartwarming. Every team took 24-second violations in honor of his number 24. The Hawks took an 8-second backcourt violation. Trae Young wore his number for a quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just.
I guess Gigi's favorite player was Trae Young.
That's
so.
Correct.
That's he was very,
and
he knew that. And
he hit a half-court shot, at halftime.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And whether or not it was Kobe, inspired, he treated it as if it were. So.
And John Altobelli was a Orange Coast College baseball coach, highly successful. They say a JUCO legend out there.
A legendary coach, yeah.
He was in there with his 13-year-old daughter, Alyssa, and his wife, Carrie. They were traveling to the youth basketball game. He was 56. He coached at OCC for 27 years, 4 state titles, more than 700 wins.
He was his own Kobe of the junior college baseball world.
Yeah, that's what the associate baseball coach said. Just brutal.
And so to your point, on that campus,
by the way,
that's every bit as impactful as Kobe Bryant is worldwide.
Listen, there's a daughter who's a junior in high school and a son who's a scout for the Red Sox who lost their sister and their parents as well. That's Altobelli. So
coached Aaron Judge, Jeff McNeil.
Yeah, Jeff McNeil said he went and played summer ball for him. Jeff McNeil said he had 2 bad years at Long Beach State, and he was not looking good. And he said this was a guy who always believed in you, and got the best out of you. And he credits him for one of the reasons why he is where he is, which is playing for the New York Mets.
Well, obviously just a huge loss, and more than to the sports world.
Yeah, and we'll continue to talk about it, but let's talk about some other things that are going on.
I went to Gainesville Saturday night, Hick. I sat courtside for the Gators and left very underwhelmed. They are in person the exact the same frustrating monstrosity that they are on television.
Yeah.
In fact, they're a little more alarming in person. The shots that you see Klang in person are missing even more than you could have imagined on television. They're young, they're immature, they're not as good as their press clippings were, and it's now readily apparent they're not going to be able to overcome that this year.
I think something's happened to the Florida basketball team in the last couple of games that spells doom for them in terms of if they want to win. If they play poor defense and they gave up 84 to LSU and Baylor had 80, right, or 72?
72.
But they had 40 in the first half and pulled away. If they give up those many points, they're not winning. They're not near good enough offensively. They've played better offensively of late, and their possessions have been better. But they had a couple of droughts Saturday night. And Baylor pulled away, and
here's what
and I think that's going to hurt them. You can't. In other words, they're not going to win many of these 80-point. I know they've had a 100-point game and then another 100-point game. That's not this team.
Here's what I'm left with, Hick. To be honest with you, after going to the game, and look, Baylor only played 6-7 guys, so that's one thing.
They're really good too. By the way,
that's one thing to wonder about them. And the one thing, you said the defense. In fairness to Florida, Baylor shot uncharacteristically well.
Yeah.
They're not a good three-point shooting team. They shoot 32% from three.
That's like Missouri, too.
Right. They hit 9 and 19 the other night, and some of them were contested. But, man, especially in the first half, they hit everything. And then there was also a stretch late. Florida was down 12 at the time, and they had just come off missing 3 consecutive front ends of 1-and-1. So even playing poorly, it could have been a 6-point game if you just make free throws. But my overall impression now of seeing them in person against a really good team, and I guess number one would suffice, is a pretty good team, it's just how incredibly disappointing they are. Like, I'm disappointed. Everything you were excited about in the preseason, now you're learning, isn't what it was advertised to be. Scotty Lewis and Trey Mann are no better than Quez Glover and Keontae Johnson. They're not. Those were McDonald's All-Americans, Dan. 2 of the best 24 in the country. Yeah. They're just guys. They're just guys. When it comes to being, like, superior basketball players, those dudes are just dudes. They're not in the top 30 of SEC players. So that's a problem. And here's another one, too. I know he's got stats. I do. But Kerry Blackshear is the most underwhelming double-double guy in the history of basketball. He is. He's not carried a meaningful Florida team to any kind of win. He just accumulates numbers as the day goes on. He's woefully inadequate and unathletic under the basket. So when you have a guy who in the preseason is named the Conference Player of the Year, Dan, you're expecting a superstar.
Yeah.
An NBA first-round draft pick. That Kerry Blackshear will never play a minute in the NBA, my man. Not a minute. So that's what really was glaring. At the end, they're just not as good as they were advertised to be. And now we've played long enough to kind of realize that. This isn't a team fighting themselves. These are overrated players, is what they were. And they're still a decent team.
They're overrated. They're young. Scotty Lewis can get better. There's a ceiling there, I think, or there's a higher ceiling there for a guy with that athleticism. I think Trey Mann can get better as well. Listen, it's we're halfway through. Let it play out. See what happens. They're back on the court tomorrow night, and suddenly important games. Now you're gonna be fighting for your tournament life. I had hoped to go 2-1 over these 3 games. They played number 4. They played at undefeated in conference LSU, and they played number 1 Baylor at home. It would have been a great win Saturday night. Didn't happen, and so teams get to be number 1 for a reason. Baylor's a scrappy, fighting bunch, and they'll have an opportunity to make a run in this crazy college basketball season. They might be this year's Texas Tech. Who knows? So it's weird. What was weird to me about the Baylor game was looking at the group of guys that coach had put together. This guy's a transfer from Asheville. This guy's a transfer from Auburn. This guy's who are these guys? And they're playing well as a team, and so give them credit. And Florida will have a lot of work to do. So going forward,
they had that guy number 11 too, just like a Draymond Green clone. They're put together nice, but like I said, they got no depth. Dan, they get an injury and foul problems, and they're going to bring a guy off the bench that plays 2 minutes a game. They literally played 6 guys, 25, 26 minutes apiece. But on the other side, they're very balanced. They didn't you go to that game and you leave, you don't know who their best player is. That also speaks well for if a team is number 1,
right,
and you leave a game and that's the case. I think that says something, too. But Florida is undoubtedly has no inkling of a chance of doing anything more than hoping to win a game in the tournament if they get in. That's just who they are. They're just not good enough. They don't shoot good enough, and they, like you said, they haven't been playing great defense either.
I didn't see a lot of. I saw the Gator game. I didn't see FSU. They beat Notre Dame. They're 17-2. They've won 10 in a row. Is that a school record? Are we getting close to that level? Have FSU ever won more than 10 games in a row?
They kind of escaped the other day, huh? I was traveling down to Gainesville while that game was going on.
But here's all you need to know about FSU. Wyatt Wilkes led the team with 19 points.
I've never heard of him.
Who is Wyatt Wilkes?
That's a fair point.
Wyatt Wilkes came off the bench to score a career-high 19 points. 12 of 18 from behind the arc for Florida State, and they beat Notre Dame despite a furious Irish rally. Notre Dame's had a tough year. They, lose every game by, 1 point, 2 points, 1 point. And their coach, Mike Bray, he came out and he started talking, and he went on for about a minute. He said, got up and left. He was done. I'm done. And I don't know the whole backstory to that. But anyway, listen, FSU is 17-2. And
it's a good year to be FSU, too, because there's no big behemoth there. FSU beat Baylor. I believe that, seeing both those teams.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Baylor is a legitimate one, but I was underimpressed with Baylor. That's what bothered me. So, you know what? One back to Baylor real quick, Hick. Before we go, Baylor, Florida. Baylor hit 9 of 19 from 3, and Florida hit 4 of 17. If Florida hits 8 of 17, they're in the game and might win it. They shot terrible.
Yeah. They're not
open threes. They're not a great shooting team, though.
Well, 8 of 17 is 50%. They don't hit 50%
the other team
went
9 of 19. I'm just trying to make it apples to apples. They are a 32% three-pointing team, so they certainly went more than you would typically
Yeah, you got to have nights like that.
Well, say this about Calais Campbell. He can make an impression. His first impression as a Jag was 4.5 sacks in Houston in his first game. Was it his last impression in a Jags helmet being the Pro Bowl defensive MVP last night? All three Jags made an impact yesterday. Josh Allen, I saw him get after it and get a sack. He also had a tackle for loss. DJ Chark, through the benefit of some, quote, Pro Bowl tackling, had a 60-yarder. It was basically just a little, sit-down route, and they decided not to tackle him, and he ran, split 2 defenders who were playing two-hand touch.
Right.
Good line, actually, by Booger, who did not have a good year.
No.
He said, after the Chark play, he says, well, I'm not going to call that a missed tackle. I'm not going to call that a broken tackle. I'm just going to call that a Pro Bowl tackle.
Wow.
As he walked right between them. Yeah.
Wow.
Very well said.
Booger, save yourself. I don't know if Booger and Tess will be back, but that remains to be seen. The Pro Bowl is what it is. It's good, good for the Jags. But we've been down this road before. I think Brunell was the game's most outstanding player one year, and
96.
Montel Owens scored a touchdown in a Pro Bowl, and
we had the guy who Kareem Osgood scored a touchdown.
Did he?
I saw Andre Roberts. He was probably the special teams guy. He scored one yesterday for the AFC.
Andre Roberts is still in the league. Who does he play for?
I think the Bills, maybe.
I think Andre Roberts returned a touchdown against the Jags when he was with the Lions.
Makes sense.
On a punt return, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, but yeah. So we'll see. We'll talk to Big Bo top of the hour. Talk some NFL stuff.
Ready to rock.
Yeah, let me do the can we do the Shazam Spotlight?
Yeah,
before we go to
Shazam
break?
Away.
Because it's in line with Kobe. This is a cool little thing. I enjoyed, did you guys know we just had a free preview week of the League Pass, so I enjoyed watching my Hawks go 2-1 this week.
Very good. Are they catch the Knicks yet?
They're about to. I may buy them for the second half. Now they got the team together.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited.
I think you should.
They have, maybe the second best young player in the league behind Luka.
Still half a game.
Who, by the way,
one game, full game behind him.
You talked about Trae Young and his relationship with the Bryant family and Kobe's young daughter who died. That's her favorite player. And so Trae Young had a double-double with 45 yesterday, right? Mm-hmm. It's just kind of weird. Trae Young is the first player to have a 45-point double-double with under 25 field goal attempts against the Washington Wizards since Kobe Bryant in December of 06. Shazam. That's just Shazam Spotlight, brought to you by ShazamAuto.com, the Murray Ford Superstores in Stark and Kingsland. Breakfast with Pacelli, top of the hour, and much more when we return here. It's the Monday Morning Quarterback, divorcemenonly.com.
Beef, what are we handing out today?
Danny, we're going to call it date night because we're going to give one lucky Guggen a floral arrangement from Kuhn Flowers.
Beautiful.
And a $25 gift certificate to dine on the delicious fare at Gators Dockside.
Listen.
Which we know very well.
How good is that, man? Yeah, we were over there a couple weeks ago. It was delish. All right, let's do caller number 3, 641-1010 right now. 641-1010.